Hey folks, Ariel over here with a little duck update. I've got a bunch of questions recently about a duck update, and it's been a while since I did one. I don't know if the ducks will stay in the picture behind me or not, but as you can see, it's wintry and it's snowy. We actually had a lot more inches of snow overnight, and then it got a couple degrees too warm to like just a degree above freezing or right at. And a lot of it's just sank away and turned into slush, which is really sad, but it's still snowing off and on. Hopefully by tonight we're gonna have a bunch more, because this time of year I don't want it to go above freezing again until like April at least. It just makes a mess. Ducks love the mess though, me not so much. They like the cold snow too, but they also really like mud. Anyways, you can probably see as they walk around behind me, what we've got out there is 7 ducks right now. So welcome if you're new. If you need a brief duck history, hi pretty kitty. We started out with 15 ducklings 2 years ago with the intention of ending up with, but they were straight run ducks, so we were hoping to end up with about half of those being females and keep the females and one drake, and have a reproducing duck flock here, mostly for eggs. We then lost 10 of the 15 to a coon attack, and the 5 that were remaining, we ended up having 4 males and 1 hen, so that didn't work. The males were beating up on her. Males are very aggressive maters. Hi Zipper. I know you're not so cuddly, but you want to say hi to the camera? No, I don't. And so we had to butcher at least 3 of those boys just to take the pressure off of her. So then we had Mr. and Mrs. Quack, and this spring they ended up producing 15 ducklings, none of which were raised by either one of them because our chicken raised them. Anyway, there's a whole long history of that. So we had 15 new ducklings. Mr. Quack went to freezer camp when he tried to kill the ducklings. Mrs. Quack seemed to have no mothering instinct and did not raise any of her children. Our lovely Icelandic hen Ember did. So then we had 15. Some were splash, one was black, and the rest were what's called blue, which of course actually looks like a dark gray. Swedish blue, Swedish ducks is not a color that breeds true. When you breed blue to blue, you get black splashes and blues. The only way to get all blues is to breed blacks to splashes. Anyway, so we had a bunch of different colors. And then we apparently ended up with the opposite problem from last year. Of those 15 ducklings, we had 13 hens and 2 drakes. Now, our duck setup, I'm sitting right over here beside it. We got the same little duck yard kind of run as we do for the chickens. They go in and out. They like to be out in all kinds of weather. They like to dibble in the water, seeing if they'll cooperate with staying in the camera here at all. Anyway, they love all kinds of weather. They're very tough, very hardy. They just won't go in the barn. They won't go in their little shed shelter. They just are like, we're tough. We don't care what the weather is. But we didn't really have the space. They do make a lot of mess compared to chickens because they poop very liquidy poops, and they like to splash water, both of which are things chickens don't do. And they don't get wet and they don't freeze because they're ducks and they're waterproof. So I didn't really have a setup where I was planning on having quite that many females around, and if we'd had 13 ducks for the part of the year when they lay an egg every day, laying as ducks, we would have had nearly, 90 eggs a week, or 80 or whatever that comes to, which is more eggs than we actually consume. So I was still shooting for my original, having 6 or 7, something like that, female ducks and a drake, and so we sold off 8 of the extra females. The 4 went to one little homestead not too far from us, and 4 to another, and so they're all there. Last I talked to the folks who bought them, happily, ducking around there. And then we thought we had 1 drake. He's the only one that got a tail curl. He went to freezer camp along with our meat chickens for the year. Animals, of course, you will probably find, often don't do what books say they do. That first drake developed his tail curl and was obviously a boy at about 6 weeks. Supposedly, ducks develop a curl at the end of their tail, like you can see on our 1 drake we have left here. He's in the foreground on the right-hand side, wiggling his tail there, and you can see his little curl feather. Anyway, the first one developed his at 6 weeks old. They're supposed to develop between 8 to 12 weeks old. This guy didn't develop his until he was 4.5 months old, which was like last week. So that was our experience. And then we had another one who's like, oh, wait, now that I'm, 4 months old or 5 or whatever they are now, I decided I'm gonna evidently be a boy too. So he's still here. He hasn't hit sexual maturity yet, hasn't started beating up on the hens, but we probably can't keep him either because these guys are now all full siblings, and I don't, that's not what I was looking for. I don't want a full brother, reproducing with his sisters. So if we get another drake, we're gonna have to get rid of him and find a slightly less related one, unfortunately. But we've got 6 hens out there. I've got a black one that I think we named Agnes. We said we better give, now that we got lots of girls and not just one, we better give Mrs. Quack a first name. So she seemed like Mrs. Bertha Quack would be a good name. I think we're going with all kind of antique names for our ducks. So we got Bertha and Agnes, and let's see, what else do we pick? Fanny and Greta, and I'm gonna forget our names here because we just decided to name them all. Blanche, she's the kind of speckly white one. She's in the standing in their water tub right now. And forgetting the other one. I'll try to pop up pictures of each one because the ones the black one you can tell apart, and the speckly one you can tell apart, and the rest it's hard to tell if you're not looking at their chest patterns, where they all have slightly different white patterns. Anyhow, hi beautiful, hi. I know you want me to throw a stick, but hey, and you get so, hey, you get so wound up when it's cold and snowy because you love it. Go find me your stick, bring it here. Anyway, so that is our duck flock. The drake will at some point go somewhere else. I don't know if we'll find somebody to trade him with for an unrelated Swedish drake, or if we'll just end up having to butcher him as well and then possibly buy another drake that's not a full sibling of our flock. But either way, that's the duck update. They are, as you can see, happy ducking around. They are fun to watch, and having 6 or 7 ducks here is a pretty good proportion for what I was shooting for, what our setup is good for. We're happy that the other 8 ladies are off living on their own places, and so that's what we got out of the ducks.
We hope you enjoyed it.
Come back next time for more adventures.
Thanks for watching.